Before I even asked them, said, oh, you're going to hit the video. And then they were like, oh, there's an audio button. It can record what I say.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I am here with Shawna Catlett, and she is the French teacher at Ephesus Elementary. And we were going to talk a little bit today about the one-to-one pilot at Ephesus and some of the things that she's been doing using one-to-one devices in her French class. So I understand that you put together a kind of formative assessment that came out of an exercise that you do with the whole class.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I can. So the students had been learning about the European Union and the countries that are part of it. We had been practicing as a whole class of the smartboard, and there was a map of Europe, and the language production, where's Europe, où est l'Europe, and they'd point in unison, voilà l'Europe, and then we narrowed it down to where the country was as a whole class, and then what the capital was, and they were taking notes in a graphic organizer, and then what the flag looked like in the colors. So we were able to get our goals of language production met, and we were doing it in unison in small groups so that there were ample opportunities for them to practice, but at the end I wanted to have a work sample from each individual child, and that's very difficult in my teaching scenario where I teach so many kids, and to videotape them individually has been a struggle where I want the presentational speaking part documented. So with the one-to-one opportunity there to use Chromebooks, we were able to work out something that could capture the essence of that lesson in the Chromebooks.
So how did you accomplish that using the Chromebooks?
We decided we needed an easy way for them to present where Europe was, find a country, and speak about the flag and the capital. We had been using Google Earth, that's one thing, and we wanted a workaround for the Chromebooks. And they just know Google Earth on Chromebooks, but you can go to Google Maps. So we went on Google Maps, and you could then click on Earth View, which when you zoom out becomes essentially Google Earth. So from there, the children used an app called Screencastify, which they loved. And Screencastify will record either like a cam, or the desktop, whatever you're doing, a tutorial, or in this case, a presentation. And they were able to have their individual devices, and first they went through a dry run where they went to find out of their organizers and their notebooks a country on Google Maps, or actually Google Earth we were calling it, but it wasn't. And they were able to zoom in to the country, voilà la France. And they were just saying all the things they could say by themselves after the lesson we had done up to that point. So la capitale, the capital, the colors of the flag, and then they were able to go into Street View and look around on Street View for the flag, and that was so cool because we had done that in class. But to see these videos individually now, there are kids who were successful, and some of them in their dry run had found the flag, so they wrote the street address in their notebooks, which I didn't know they did this. And on the video, I see them typing in the address in like Brussels or Portugal. And that's so cool. They were able to then zoom into that street and then show me the flag. And if they weren't able to find the flag, I told them that was okay. They could just describe the flag if they want, and then look and say, I don't know, je ne sais pas. From there, the Screencastify saves directly to the drives of the students, and I had Google Classroom. And the Google Classroom, they were able to join my classroom. I have like 75 fourth graders, so they had a join code, and they just joined my classroom. And it was really simple. When they were in, they uploaded their video from their drives onto my classroom for assignment page, and it all got into my drive in one folder. I have all their documented presentational speaking in French videos now, which is really helpful for the assessments.
Bonjour, où est l'Europe? Voilà l'Europe. Où est Danemark? Voilà Danemark. Quelle est la capitale de Danemark? La capitale de Danemark est Copenhagen. Quelle est la couleur de le drapeau de Danemark? C'est rouge et blanc. Où est le drapeau de de Danemark? Une minute.
You know, what was that like? What was that experience like for you to be able to kind of see those individual student responses and their presentation skills?
Yes. So in some cases, I was curious. I have to give standards-based grades. This is the first time this report card. And for my newer students who've never had French, this is 4th grade, I was looking at their work samples in their notebooks and thinking back and listening to them in class. But I was really interested to, when I opened those work samples from those students on their Screencastify, I really could pinpoint their proficiency levels with their presentational speaking. And I don't know if I would have had that ability had I not used Screencastify to 100% say, wow, this student is at grade level with the French, like a 3, where I may have been like, I'm not sure if they're 2 or 3. It was, some kids surprised me the other way. You know, I assumed they were able to do more than they actually could, and it wasn't just the technology that got in the way. Some kids were filling the dead space with more French that I didn't know they had, like, oh, une minute, and they were looking, and you didn't see them, I should clarify. You really just saw the desktop, but you could hear their voices.
And so that was harder. It was harder to kind of assess that with the whole group.
To assess
their presentation skills on an individual
Oh yeah, like
level.
I would a lot of times take 3. Okay, so maybe I would take 3 class periods to have every child present to the class, but the class can sometimes lose interest when they're watching over. Yeah. It didn't take 3 class periods to do this. It maybe took 2. So it took less. Actually, one of those, I believe a lot of kids finished in the first period, actually, and then some kids, and then they got to play this game when they finished. So it did take less time overall, and I was able to then have data already uploaded for me in my drive, whereas if I had taken those videos individually, you have them as well. There's also something to be said about the ownership the kids took in the process instead of being filmed.
Yeah.
They were able to produce, and I think there's a big difference in being active versus passive.
Yeah, that's great.
So.
Yeah. And so I guess that lesson with students sort of locating the continent, the European continent, and finding their European Union country, also weaves in some geography as well.
Yes.
So
interdiscipline
it's
connections.
kind of, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't do a lot of, in other places in the school days anymore. There's so much else we need to get done. So I love that I can give the kids the geography and the, some of the social studies. We talked about the European Union quite a bit and the Euro. And
Yeah.
so they love that.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Chantez au revoir en silence.